ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
The LouieTeeNetwork is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Sunday Night Football overtime. Giants, Chiefs. That was a snooze fest. Literally, I fell asleep in the first half. And to go back, rewind it, watch the game from where I left off, fast forward through the commercials just to catch back up. Because this was some sleepy-ass ball. However, it is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Kansas City Chiefs. You're 0-2. You need one. I don't know how many teams they would have beat with the performance that they put on tonight. Like, this is the team that they needed to see on the schedule at this current time. You put anybody else, they showed a graphic of the next, like, 5-6 games. Any of those teams that they have to play over the next month and a half, they would have lost to tonight with the performance that they played with. This is not the same Chiefs team. Now, again, they've got injuries. They've got guys suspended. They're going to get some of these guys back over the next month or so. Gradually, they'll be a better football team. But, again, this was a game that the Giants could have easily won. And I said this already. I talked about this on the Super Friends show, if you watched that. And I said it on the skill game that this is going to be a close game. I thought it could end up being like the Bengals game last year with the Giants on Sunday Night Football, where it ended up being like 10-7 or something like that, where the Giants had a chance to win and they just stink, so they didn't get it done. Same thing here, right? You knew Russell Wilson, what he did last week. The Cowboys are ass on defense. So don't take what Russell Wilson did last week and just think that, oh, shit, the Giants have offense now. No. That was a one-off because they played against one of the worst defenses in football. Cowboys confirmed that today with what they allowed the Bears to do. So I knew they were going to go back to being what they were prior to that, which is one of the worst offenses in football. And so the clock struck 12. The Giants went back to being a pumpkin. They scored 9 whole points tonight. Good for them, right? But let's start with the Chiefs. To the victors, go to spoils. They get it done 22-9 tonight. Get their first win of the season. Avoid 0-3. Because I don't give a shit who you are. I don't care if you're Kansas City, you're Patrick Mahomes, you're Andy Reid. You start 0-3 and you're dead. Dead, I tell you. Especially with the Chargers doing what they're doing in your division. You got, too many good teams in the AFC to be starting off the season 0-3 and thinking you're going to do some shit. All right. That's what Cincinnati did last year, and they found out the hard way. You can't start 0-3 and think you're going to just dig yourself up magically out of the hole and make the playoffs. So this was important. They got it done. Doesn't matter. This isn't college football. There are no style points that are attached to victories. Either you win or you lose. And they won tonight. But Harrison Butker missed, a couple kicks, missed the extra point, missed the extra point, missed the field goal, right? So he wasn't clean tonight. Mahomes was not clean, especially in the first half. I could tell tonight Mahomes made a concerted effort to not run as much. You could tell. Because the first 2 weeks, if it wasn't there and he felt like he needed to do something, he just took off. And tonight, he had 5 yards rushing. Of course, I would know. I had him for the more total on the sleeper app, and he decided he wasn't running tonight. Under no circumstances. There were opportunities for him to take off and run, just like there were in weeks 1 and week 2. And he just decided, nah, not going to do that tonight against the Giants. So disappointed that he didn't use his legs, but you could tell he made a concerted effort that I'm going to stay in the pocket, or if I roll out, I'm not rolling out, and I'm not leaving the pocket to be a runner. I'm leaving the pocket to still remain a passer. We're going to try and get this pass game on track. And they took some shots. One of them benefited them down the field right before the half, where it was a pass interference that I think kind of got them jump-started because they were kind of dead at that point. They were dead. It was a 6-0 game, I believe, at that time. And they were kind of just moping around. It might have been 6-3. It might have been 6-6. Whatever the score was at that time, they were kind of just lifeless, going through the motions. That pass interference kind of jump-started them. They came out on the first possession. I want to say it was 6-6. And they came out on that first possession of the second half, and that's the best their offense has looked all season long. Truly. It was in rhythm. The ball was out. They marched it right down the field. It was a good mixture of run and pass, get it in the end zone, took the 16-9 lead. And, that kind of felt like it. Like, there's no way the Giants were scoring 17 points tonight. It felt like that was it. But they end up scoring one more touchdown for good measure. And Butker missed the extra point on that one. But you kind of felt like that first touchdown to start the second half was all she wrote. There were just, you could tell the Giants weren't really going to score very many points on the evening. We knew the defense was going to step up. At least I did. I knew the defense was going to step up, have a bounce back game. Not that they were terrible last week against Philadelphia, but you knew that they were going to have to be the ones to really carry them in this game because, again, the Giants defensively aren't terrible. So they were going to come out here. They were going to, hold this Chiefs offense that's not very good right now down. And so you were going to have to just hold the Giants offense down and make sure that they didn't do anything. And we knew Spags wasn't going to allow Russell Wilson to get off. You knew they weren't going to allow Malik Neighbors to get off. I thought Wan'Dale Robinson had a chance to be a bigger factor in the game because of all the attention that was going to be paid to Malik Neighbors. I'm actually surprised and shocked that Wan'Dale Robinson wasn't a bigger factor in this football game. But ultimately, Cam Scatterboo was huge. But they were like, yeah, he can have all he wants. As long as it's not a mountain of points, we don't give a shit. I think he had over 100 yards of total offense in this game. Cool. Knock yourself out. As long as it's not leading to points, we really don't give a shit. And the Chiefs, to their credit, every team that plays the Giants should adopt the same mentality. Look, you can have all the little dink and dunkers you want, Russ. If you want to take off a couple of times, knock yourself out. We're not allowing a deep ball. Like, that's the one thing that Russ can do at this juncture of his career. I've said this already. With Russell Wilson, I told every Giants fan before the season started, it's either a check down or it's a bomb. There's no in between with Russell Wilson. There's no intermediate routes. You're not seeing Russell Wilson throw the 18-yard dig. You're not seeing Russell Wilson throw the 15-yard out or bench route. You're not seeing Russell Wilson throw the 12-yard comeback. There ain't none of that shit going down in your offense. It's either check down underneath to a tight end, a back, a receiver on a shallow cross or something of that nature. It's either him on some sort of bootleg where you get the tight end or somebody in the flats and he's dumping it down them, or it's a deep ball. Like, there's no in between. And the Chiefs knew that. And, the only team that didn't seem to understand the assignment was the Dallas Cowboys last week. So it was bombs away. But you knew that Spags wasn't going to allow that to happen this week. So they took that stuff away from them, made them have to be, methodical and efficient, which is two things that the Giants aren't offensively. Either they're getting in their own way with penalties, or they're just going to mess up execution, take a sack, have a ball batted down. They had a nice drive on the opening possession going. And what happens? Russell Wilson has the ball batted down on fourth down. And that receiver was open, by the way. So, again, credit to the Chiefs for understanding the assignment, knowing who the opponent was, taking away the things that they want to do, and really simplifying things. Like, the Giants aren't going to score a bunch of points if you take away the deep ball. All right. And the Giants, for as good as they can be on defense, they're not going to create a bunch of turnovers, takeaways. They're not going to shorten the field for their struggling offense. So if you just don't do anything dumb with the football, and if you just don't beat yourself, you should come away victorious. And this was one of those times where you just move out of the way, right? Like, the Giants will do it for you. Just move out of the way. They'll take care of everything you need them to take care of in this game to ensure that you win. Just move out of the way. Don't try to be special. Don't try to do too much. They'll take care of everything that you need. They're a bad football team. And I talked about this before the season started. I said, every team that plays the Giants within the first 2 months of the season has a job to do. With the exception of the Saints. They're one of the few teams that's actually worse off than the Giants are right now. It's the only game that they're going to win in their first 6, 7, 8, 9 games. Like, we talked about how brutal of a schedule the Giants were facing. And so I said, everyone's got a job to do. Commanders did their job in week 1. Cowboys barely did it, but they did their job in week 2. Gave them a little hope. That was probably what was the most gut-wrenching about that one, was the Cowboys really, really should be ashamed of themselves because they gave the Giants fans a little bit of hope, right? Like, oh, it's not as bad, yada, yada, yada. And then tonight was that cold splash of water on the face of the Giants. And the Chiefs did what they needed to do their one, let's say they did their 10%. Everybody's got about, I think it's more like 20%. Everybody's got about 20% of a job to do. Yeah, more like 17%. Everybody's got about 17% of a job to do, like first 6 games or so. Everybody does their job. And, by the time we get to the midpoint of October, they'll be talking about when are we going to see Jackson Dart? And they're going to be talking about the draft. And that's the way it should be. Giants fans were sticking out their chest, too much bravado before the season started. This needed to happen. I don't feel bad for them. You made your bed. Now you have to lie in it. Zip it or break your hip, as a wise man once said, right? For the Chiefs, this is a win. I won't call it a good win. It's a win, and the win's a win in the National Football League. We don't have style points. Let's see if this can jumpstart the Chiefs. I am not sold on them this year right now as is. But again, I said this before the season started. This is one of the more talented teams Mahomes has had around him. You can't tell that right now because of all of the injuries, right? Because you got the injury to Xavier Worthy, because there's no Rashid Rice. Everyone's out of whack at the receiver position. You get those 2 guys back, and all of a sudden now Hollywood Brown is your third option, more likely than not. And if there's a silver lining of what's going on right now, is Tyquan Thornton is stepping up. So when you get all those guys back, Tyquan Thornton is your 4th, 5th option at receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster is your 5th option. Probably Thornton might be your 4th option. And now you got all this speed. You got all these guys that can, be difference makers around Mahomes. It could turn into a really interesting offense to watch evolve as he gets all of those pieces back, assuming that they're able to stay healthy with all the other guys once everyone else has entered back into the mix. I think the key for the Chiefs, honestly, is you just got to survive until the help arrives, right? And it's not just going to be, okay, Rashid Rice comes back in week 7 after a 6-game suspension, and Xavier Worthy might be back next week or the week after that. You got to allow time for these guys to gel too. So you got to, because Rashid Rice is allowed to be back in the building now, but he still can't practice. So it may take a week or 2 or 3 for them to all get on the same page and for that thing to kind of mesh and gel together. Ultimately, you just got to survive. And let's take a look at the schedule for the Chiefs real quick. You just got to survive and tread water until the cavalry arrives and you can have time to put this all together. So now you have the Ravens. That's going to be tough at home next week. The Jags on a Monday night, then the Lions at home on a Sunday night. Then you get the Raiders. That's a winnable game. Then you get the Bills on the road. Yikes. Then you get the Commanders on a Monday night, and then you get the Bills. So it really doesn't ease up, right? And so the good thing is you're probably going to get Xavier Worthy back next week, is my guess. He feels like he was getting closer and closer and closer. I think you'll get him back next week. You still got 2 more games after next week of no Rashid Rice. So you'll get him back for the Lions game on a Sunday night. So that's when you become whole again, assuming everyone else stays healthy. That'll allow Travis Kelce to kind of be the forgotten man, if that's a thing, right? Like, because he's not the guy that he once was. We all know he's no longer the guy that's going to get you for 9 for 111 and 2 touchdowns. That's just not who he is anymore. But when you start adding in all these receivers, you start to forget about Kelce, and then all of a sudden, here comes Travis Kelce as the 4th or 5th option, the best option for Mahomes to get the football to. Now he's a problem again. So another thing with them, the run game tonight, I think the run game might have actually been solid. Let's check and see. Because it felt like they ran it a little bit better tonight. They made a conscious effort to run it. Like, there are weeks where you go, bro, you ran it 13 times tonight. Like, that's stupid. That's dumb. And it's not like Mahomes is out here torching teams and you got all these weapons at receiver and your passing game is immaculate. You're out here throwing it and the pass game is ass and you're not running the football. I mean, they stuck to it. We'll call it stick-to-itiveness tonight. 28 carries, 105 yards, just a shade under 4 a pop. But Pacheco averaged over 4 yards a carry tonight. That's good. Kareem Hunt, I'm not a Kareem Hunt fan at this point of his career. So I am annoyed every time he's on the field unless it serves a purpose. Short yardage, third down, he's physical and pass protection, and he catches the ball out of the backfield really well. So unless it's something like that, if it's 1st and 10 and you're handing it to Kareem Hunt, I have a problem with that because he annoys me because he doesn't serve a purpose in those settings. 10 carries, 34 yards, 3.4 a pop for him. Again, that's him at this point of his career. He's not making anybody miss. He might run through an arm tackle or two, but whatever's blocked, he'll get and nothing more. Right? That's it. And I struggle with guys like that. When you got Isaiah Pacheco, I'm not saying Pacheco is out here making dudes miss and all that, but at least he's faster. He runs extremely hard and flat-footed, and that, some people are, annoyed by Isaiah Pacheco's running style, but there's more yards to be gained with Pacheco with the ball in his hands. And I would like to see more of Brashard Smith, to be honest with you. But again, a lot of these teams like to take it slow with their young running backs. Jacksonville is doing the same thing with Bicel Tootin. Seeing the Commanders do the same thing with Bill. And so you see a lot of these teams kind of taking it slow with their young, and Raiders for some inexplicable reason are doing the same thing with their top 10 pick, which if you're going to draft a guy that high, you should be ready to just hand him the rock. So again, I'd like to see Brashard Smith get more involved in the run game, but ultimately I like the dedication to the run tonight because for most of the season to this point, the first 2 games, there was no dedication to the run game. It was really almost like a reluctance to stick with the run, to be and again, it always helps when you're ahead and you can turn around and hand it off, which they were for most of the night tonight. So that helps a lot too. But I'm just looking at the leading receivers for the Chiefs tonight. It's Tyquan Thornton, it's Juju Smith-Schuster, it's Hollywood Brown, Travis Kelce. Like, this isn't good enough. And this is no fault of their own. Obviously, Xavier Worthy gets hurt 3 plays into the season, and Rashid Rice is suspended for his tomfoolery last offseason. So again, this is through no fault of their own, but ultimately, this is where they are. So they'll be better. Can you survive until the help arrives is the question. You got the Ravens next week. We'll see what the Ravens look like tomorrow night, and then we'll see what happens. The Ravens struggle with the Chiefs. Regular season, postseason, it really doesn't matter. If you could find a way to beat them, I think you're in the clear. You're going to be fine because then that means you're hot now. That's 2 in a row. You'll probably beat Jacksonville after that, get back to 500, or exceed 500, and then be 3-2. And then, whatever happens at that point, you'll be fine, right? You lose to Baltimore, though, you drop to 1-3, all bets are off, right? You just got to figure out a way to tread water here if you're the Chiefs, which is why, last week against the Eagles was such a big game that was there for the taking, and you should have won that game, and you didn't. And so now you had to have it tonight. You went and got it. The defense was good. I expected Chris Jones to get a sack. He did. I expected the defense to play the way that they did tonight. They took care of business. The offense was good enough. I'm a little worried about Harrison Butker. He's missed some kicks early in the season. We've seen this from him 2 years ago. He had a little bit of now he was a little bit injured that year as well, but that's something to keep an eye on. You didn't need the points tonight, so it's not a big deal. But in this league, when you're playing teams like the Bills and the Ravens and the Lions and, Commanders and teams of that ilk, you get the Chargers again, the Broncos, every point matters. Every point matters. So just something to keep an eye on. But you get the win 22-9. You get off the schneid. No one wants to start 0-3. You avoid that fate, taking care of the Giants. Boy, I know you were relieved to see the Giants on the schedule in week 3. You needed this one. You took care of business. As for the Giants, what more can I say? It's business as usual. It's what I expected. It's what I predicted before the season started, right? That you would be in this position, that you would be defeated before the month of September was done, but you would officially be defeated by the time we get to October. Mid-October is what I said. And you're already defeated by now. If you weren't defeated because of last week's fireworks, you're defeated after tonight because you realize what it is. And, next week, it's the Chargers. It's not going to get any better. You're going to get smoked again next week. You're going to be 0-4. And, again, I told you the Saints is the only game that you have a chance to win. They stink really bad. So you should beat them. But then it's the Eagles 2 times in 3 weeks, and sandwiched in between there, the Denver Broncos. You're not beating any of those teams. You'll look up. You'll be 1-7. And after the Eagles game, in my mind, that's when I envision, because they're probably going to pummel you, that's when I envision the real Jackson Dart conversations. Because once you're out of it, you're going through the motions at that point. So what are we doing, right? I get it right now. Still early. Yeah, you're 0-3, but technically still a lot of football left to be played. That's what you're going to tell yourself. But we know the truth. You guys stink. You're not winning anything. And so at some point, you got to get the young fella in there. And there's no rush necessarily, but I said this, and this is a big picture. Forget about tonight. Tonight looked like week 1. Tonight's going to look like most weeks of the season for you. You're not going to score a bunch of points. The defense is going to try hard, but they're just not going to do enough. They're not going to create any turnovers. They're not going to create any game-changing plays. And I think Chris Collinsworth said it best. You guys can't put together a complete game. If the offense plays well, then the defense sucks. If the defense plays well, then the offense sucks. You can't have it all. And then top it off, the best asset that you have right now, not named Malik Neighbors, is Graham Gano. And even he's dealing with a groin injury. And you're like, shit, the one guy that we can count on to do any goddamn thing, not named Malik Neighbors, he's hurt now. Go figure, right? But let's go big picture for a second. My biggest issue with everything that has been done, and we'll see what, John Mara decides to do, but my biggest issue with everything that was being done is that you drafted a first-round quarterback with a GM and a head coach that were potentially on the hot seat going into the season. Now, again, I don't know how hot their seats are. I don't know if they would make wholesale changes, but Mara sounded pretty pissed last year, and he sounded like a guy that needed results this year or heads were going to roll. Don't know if that's going to take place or not, but clearly this team stinks, and they're not going to win very many games this year. And you're going to end up 3-14. And, last year you were, 4-13 or whatever the number was, 3-14 last year, whatever that number looked like last year. How many of these seasons can one take? You drafted Jackson Dart, and if you get rid of either Joe Shane and or Brian Daboll, you're really going to mess with the development of this young quarterback that you are desperately trying to protect by not putting him in the game right now, right? Because again, if you're going to wait till week 10 or 11 or whatever, Bad Dog keeps saying, oh, we'll put him in after the bye week. That's too late. It's too far. I think they have the latest bye week of any team in the NFL, like the latest bye week you can have, right? I think they got that week, 14 bye or whatever it is. Like that's too late. That's not enough of a sample size. He needs to be playing by week 7, week 8, week 9, somewhere in that neighborhood, right? What are you protecting him for all that time? Like, put him in the game. You guys suck. He needs reps. Get him out there. But what difference does it make? It feels like Justin Fields all over again is what it feels like to me. What difference does it make if the guys that are developing him, the guys that are, giving him tutelage, the guys that believed in him and drafted him, what difference does it make if they're not here next year? That's the thing that I said. None of this makes any sense to me unless you're going to keep Brian Daboll and Joe Shane around for at least 2 years, this year and next year, at least a bare minimum, to see what Jackson Dart can actually be under their leadership. If you're not going to do that, then you should not have drafted this kid in the first round. This is you're going down a path of destruction for a young quarterback that needs stability. And I've seen this happen so many times. So many times. the question is, what's the future of the Giants structurally look like? And how does that play into the development of Jackson Dart? We got to start looking. If you're a Giants fan, you should be looking big picture now. This season's done. This season was over before it started. I tried to warn you. Of course, no one wants to hear that shit before the season starts, right? Everybody's got a chance. Everybody's 0-0. Nobody wants to hear that. Giants fans let a 4-0 preseason, a 3-0 preseason go to their damn skulls. They lost their minds for a little bit. That's okay. That's allowed. When you suck ass, you got to take every win you can get, even if they don't actually count. I get it. Okay? But now you've been brought back down to reality. 3 games in. Your reality is stark, it's swift, and it's vicious. And you get it. So now you got to start thinking about the big picture. Where do we go from here? Like, when is it Jackson Dart time? Is Brian Daboll going to be here to mentor, tutor, and coach this kid? Or are we just essentially giving him more stuff to have to learn? Then he's got to wipe the slate clean and learn a brand new playbook in all new language next year. Is he going to have to deal with the general manager? And maybe Joe Shane is safe and he's not going anywhere. I think that's the most important one. If you fire Brian Daboll and you get a new coach in here, the guy that drafted him needs to still be around. That's how you ensure. Like, that's what happened in Chicago with Justin Fields. But then that also happened with Caleb Williams, right? They repeated the cycle again. They're buffoons. However, the guy that drafted Caleb Williams remained intact. Whether Bears fans liked it or not, they gave this man an extension like 3 weeks ago or so, a month ago. So at least the guy that believed enough in Caleb Williams to select him first overall is still there. If you get rid of Joe Shane, that's the guy that believed in Jackson Dart enough to trade back into the first round. Probably also Brian Daboll was a huge part in that decision-making process. These are the guys that believed in Jackson Dart enough to trade back into the first round and select him 25th overall. You move on from those guys. The next guy's going to come in here and he's going to tell ownership, no. I believe in Jackson Dart. I liked him coming out of Ole Miss. Of course he's going to tell you because he wants the job. It's the same thing Jay Gruden did when Dan Snyder said, hey, you got to come in here. You got to fix Robert. Oh, yeah, no. I can fix him. And it gets in here and 2 seconds later, he's like, nah, he's ass. I need Kirk Cousins to start. You do whatever you got to do. You say whatever you got to say to take the job, to get the job. Then once you get the job, you're not going to fire me now. Now I can get in here and do whatever the hell I want to do. It's the same thing Ron Rivera did with Dwayne Haskins. Oh, no. I love the kid. I'm going to give him a shot. And he got in here and he started doing stupid shit like giving him quizzes during games. And then he benched his ass because he never loved him to begin with. But whatever you got to say to get the job, that's what you're going to do. We see it all the time. I know Giants fans want this to turn out like the next Eli Manning, right? Sit him for like 8-9 weeks, then play him, and then he takes over and he ends up being, this awesome quarterback that leads us to the promised land multiple times in his career. That's more likely than not going to happen. Yeah, and we'll see what happens with Jackson Dart. The preseason is the preseason. The regular season, totally different animal. But tonight was another one of those nights. I will say this. Joe Shane has made some really quality draft picks. He's made some shrewd moves in free agency. Like, this is not a bad roster. That's the unfortunate part. Bo looks like a really solid tackle. The rookie out of Mizzou. Scatterbo is playing well. Like, he was really good tonight. He was probably your best player tonight. You go down the list of guys. Obviously, Abdul Carter, is going to be really good in this league. You can just go down the list of guys that you've drafted. Last year, the draft class looks like it's going to be a solid group. You got some guys that played really well last year and are playing solid football this year out of the draft class from last year. He's brought in some free agents that have been really solid. But ultimately, you're not winning football games, and that's what matters the most. So I think if I were making the decisions in New York, I probably would hold on to Joe Schoen and move on from Brian Daboll and allow Joe Schoen to do this one more time, because he picked Brian Daboll as his head coach. It didn't work because they had a relationship coming over from Buffalo. They both came from Buffalo. So I'm going to give him a chance to wipe the slate clean, go get him a coach that's going to be able to come in here and coach up Jackson Dart and get this shit going in the right direction, find the right coordinators, right? The right defensive coordinator, et cetera, because there's talent here. There's talent here. Now you just got to figure out how to maximize it. So that's the route I would take. You know, Joe Schoen would remain, need the guy that drafted Jackson Dart to remain here, and you move on from Brian Daboll. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see what they decide to do. But tonight is a microcosm of what this season has been and what this season will continue to be. You're going to stink. You're not going to score very many points. This is who you are, unfortunately. Like, week 2 was probably the most fun you're going to have all season until Jackson Dart gets in the game. That's going to be the most fun. That's the most points you've scored in ages. I mean, what did you score against the Colts last year in a game that you desperately wanted to lose? You can't even do that right? You probably scored 40 points that day against the Colts last year when you won that game late in the season. But last week was fun. That's the most fun you're going to have this season with Russell Wilson at quarterback. And good for you scoring 37 last week, because you might not score 37 points over the next month combined. Chargers aren't going to let you score shit next week. You scored 9 points tonight. The Eagles ain't going to let you score very many points in those 2 games. And the Broncos ain't going to let you score shit. So you might score 37 points combined over the next 5 weeks, tonight included. So I'm glad you got all of those points out of the way last week, because the points are going to be scarce over the next month or so. The Saints game is in there somewhere. The Saints are in there somewhere. And so, hey, there's always the Saints, right? Hey, good luck to that, right? Anyway, I digress. Chiefs get it done tonight, 22-9. Snap their losing streak at 2 games. Get off the schneid. They're 1-2. Giants are now 0-3. And again, this is not a surprise. This is what we expected from them. So it's not going to get much better for them. But now they got some decisions to make. They got to start having some tough conversations on how they want to go about the rest of this season, because we see where this thing is heading, right? So let's get to the skill game, brought to you by Sleeper.
The skill game brought to you by Sleeper.
All right. So Sleeper is a fantasy, sports, and real money gaming app that focuses on bringing people together through sports and gaming. Sleeper has become one of the fastest organically growing fantasy platforms in the world, with over 6 million users back in 2023. I assume that number has blossomed to plenty more, right? Because of people like myself who have just been exposed to this app, can't get enough of this app. This is such a fun app to use. And I've talked about how this has enhanced my football watching experience. But as I've told you guys before, and as you can see on the screen in front of you, it's not just limited to the NFL, which I am an NFL junkie, but it doesn't just have to be. It's MLB, it's WNBA, it's tennis, NBA will be back soon, college football. There's so many other things that you can make picks on. Don't just limit yourself to the NFL like myself. You can go out here and go be great in all different sports. I love this app. And if you haven't been exposed to it, here's an opportunity to do so. In the description of this video, you will find a link. Click that link
and use the promo code LTN to get you 100% match on a deposit up to $100. It's right, dollar for dollar match on your deposit up to $100. You put in $100, they're going to give you an additional $100 to use on the app. It's so much fun, and it's so easy to win. It's also easy to lose, but we focus on the winning here on the Louie T Network. And it doesn't take much with all the different things that you can do with all the escalators and bonuses and the promos. Like you see one in front of me here where 30% boost, and you can reuse that until you win. Like, that's awesome, right? I'm going to use that one because I still didn't win today. And I'm going to show you why I didn't win tonight. This one sucked. Tonight did, right? So let's take a look at my picks from tonight. This was garbage, right? So I knew Russell Wilson wasn't going to hit the 222.5 yards because I just knew last week was a mirage. And we knew the Chiefs and their defense, Spags was going to come in and shut them down. Like, we knew that. So that was an easy one for me. Take the less than, and that was easy. Mahomes made a conscious effort tonight to not run. So it says 5 carries, 10 yards, but these were like reluctant runs. He was so decisive in weeks 1 and 2 where, like, I think he had 70 yards rushing against the Eagles last week and like 50 something the week before that. Like, he was decisive and he was determined to make something happen with his legs. Tonight, you could tell he really didn't want to run. He wanted to throw the football. He was really determined to throw the football tonight. So that hurt me, obviously. Butker, they're going to kick field goals because their offense just isn't in sync. So they're going to settle for field goals. So I knew he was going to hit the over. Same with Gano. I got screwed here. And it sucked that he actually came out to kick a field goal because I was going to petition to Sleeper like, hey, this man was hurt. Even though he was active, he didn't play and he was hurt and they didn't want to put him out there. You got to adjust this for me. Then he comes out and kicks a 25-yard field goal or whatever. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. So that screwed me over because I knew he wasn't going to kick another field goal. So I just, like, my intentions are pure. And I know what I know. And then for whatever reason, I can't put everything together. I'm getting close, right? I'm getting close. But Gano has been money for me all year. Then he pulls a groin. He would have kicked 2 field goals tonight. He easily would have kicked 2 field goals. Mahomes, how was I supposed to know he was going to make it? Like, against this Giants front, who I knew was going to be aggressive up front, I just thought he would take off and run. And he's like, nope, not doing that tonight. So how was I supposed to know he was going to make tonight a concerted effort, a conscious decision to just be more pass-driven? I couldn't have known. So, yep, took another L. I did want to show you something that I'm going to participate in more often, and that's my kicker bit. I like this. This is fun. So I picked 8 kickers, and all of them were set at 1.5 field goals. So all I need, and this is, I'm going to hit one of these this year. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm going to hit one of these. I swear I am. Because I know who kicks field goals and who doesn't, right? And I'll go through this real quick with you. Will Reichert, 2 field goals, knew he was going to kick 2. I thought they would, first of all, I did not expect them to destroy Cincinnati in the manner that they did. 2 backup quarterbacks playing. I just said, go with the team with the better defense. That's all that made sense to me, right? There was no other logic in this other than 2 teams with backup quarterbacks. The team with the better defense is going to prevail. I had no idea that this was going to get out of hand the way that it did. Still, he kicked 2 field goals. The Vikings kick a lot of field goals. Joey Sly has the most made field goals in the NFL this season, all right? So I knew he was going to make some field goals. Now, he missed 2 field goals today. A lot of you had Commanders fans telling me, you see what Joey Sly's doing? You knew it was inevitable. I was like, come back and talk to me in like late October, early November. He'll regress back to the Joey Sly mean, okay? He missed 2 kicks today. Doesn't matter. He made 2. That's all I care about. He's going to kick a lot of field goals in Tennessee. They stink on offense.
Eddie Piñeiro for the 49ers. They can't find the end zone. All right. If the end zone came and tapped them on the shoulder and said, hey, it's me, end zone, how you doing? They couldn't find the goddamn end zone. He's going to kick a lot of field goals for them, which is why they got rid of their third-round pick kicker and signed Eddie Piñeiro, because they're going to kick a lot of field goals. And he kicked the game winner today. Brandon Aubrey, the Cowboys, again, another one of these teams, they're going to kick a ton of field goals because, one, he's got a big leg. He's a weapon. So even if it's 4th and 7 from, the opposing team's 42-yard line, well, shit, for them, that's a 60-yard field goal. Brandon Aubrey can kick a field goal, right? They're going to kick 2 of these almost every week, right? Then there's the serial kicker. And this is where things went off the rails for me. He missed 2 field goals early in the game. Once he missed those 2, I was like, I'm not going to get very many more chances with him. You dirty son of a bitch. And I knew it was coming. Because I said, of course, when they cut Younghoe Koo, and now it's your job, you're gonna show your ass. This is what these free agent kickers do. They come in and they're on their best behavior because they want a job. And as soon as you give it to them, they got your ass. And now they can show you their true colors on why they were on the streets in the first place. He was nasty today. He was missing all over the damn place. These kicks never had a shot. I knew I was dead in the water watching it. I was watching that game live. I said, well, my shit is dead. He killed it already. And then I'm watching the Raiders game. Of course, they were playing my favorite team, the Commanders. And Carlson made a kick like first quarter. I'm like, yeah, he's going to make 2 field goals. And they just never kicked another field goal. And my biggest fear in the game, which I was totally on board with, was we would get too far ahead of them to where a field goal wasn't even an option. And it eventually got to that point. And so I was like, cool. If we whoop their ass and I don't get the second field goal, I'm okay with that. I'm willing to, sacrifice that. I never thought Evan McPherson would I just thought that Cincinnati, Minnesota game was going to be heavy with field goals on both sides. I never saw that one getting out of control the way that it did. Again, that's the only thing with these field goals that can hurt me is if the game gets out of control, now field goals aren't an option. Like if you're down 40, that score was like 34-10 at halftime. I'm not kicking any field. What is a field goal going to do for me in a 24-point game? What is that going to do for me? Like, I got to score touchdowns, right? That's what happened to Evan McPherson. This were a closer game. I didn't watch it, so I got to see what happened, but I assume he would have had more opportunities to kick field goals. They just had to go for it on 4th down. What's the field goal going to do for me? And then this was the biggest shock for me of all the kickers. Chris Boswell. This is a guy that the Steelers kick 15 field goals every week. Every week. Chris Boswell, most accurate kicker in the NFL. He doesn't miss anything, it feels like. They kick with him everywhere. 50, 60, it feels like. Doesn't matter. He makes everything. They go to New England, and it's the weirdest game. The Patriots turn it over 5 times. The Steelers, just was weird. It's like, he didn't even attempt a field goal. I can't think of the last Steelers game that Chris Boswell didn't attempt a field goal. Like, okay, he didn't make 2. He didn't even kick 1. That's not Steeler football. So that was really, really shocking to me. That of all of these, that's the one that was the biggest shock to my senses. It's like Chris Boswell. And I watched the game and I'm like, is he even going to kick a field goal today? It's crazy. So I'm going to hit one of these. I got 4 out of the 8 kickers. I'm going to hit one of these this season. Watch what I tell you. But I'm going to do this every week. Kickers only. But shout out to Sleeper for continuing to enhance my football watching experience and also giving me an opportunity to put some money in my pocket. This is your opportunity to turn every day into payday. Safest and fastest withdrawals in the game, right? Sleeper. It's where it's at, right? Shout out to Sleeper, man. This is awesome. Sleeper. All right. So let's get back to the business of chopping it up with you guys. And Let's get to the comment section. So, see what you guys have to say. The Phillies ace, 34. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Phillies ace 34 writes, my guy Louie, congrats on y'all win, but Hurts showed Daniels how to be one of them ones, even if it looked bad for a half. Packers are frauds. Go Eagles. It was a good comeback, but you guys are living dangerously, guy. You know it. Like, I'm not one of those people that the Eagles could easily be 0-3, but that's the truth, right? But it's a fine line in this league between winning and losing. You guys have been straddling that line all year long, but you're a championship caliber team. And generally in this league, how this works is the good teams find ways to be on the right side of these, decisions and outcomes, and the bad teams find a way to be on the other side. And you're at the point now where you guys just know how to win. You just know how to win. You find ways to win. You should not have won today. You were getting thoroughly dominated. You were getting your backs kicked in for basically 3 quarters of this game, 3.5 quarters, 2.5 quarters rather of this game. You were down 26-7, and then you rallied. And again, my hat's off to you guys. That's a hell of a comeback. It really, truly is. This felt like Chiefs-esque from last year when they were just finding ways to win. It wasn't the prettiest. People had shit to say. Oh, it's black magic. They got voodoo and this, that, and the third. But they were finding ways to win games. Were the Chiefs last year, and it kind of feels very similar with you guys. Like y'all just gonna find a way to win. If it's a drop pass here, if it's an interception that goes off somebody's hands there, block kicks today, whatever it looks like. You're just going to find a way to get it done. And you did again today. Hats off to your guys, but let's be easy on the one of them ones conversation and talk. All right. Hurts showed me what he is. When he doesn't have 15 years to throw the football, he was getting destroyed today in the pocket. Oh my God. They were tearing his ass up. When he doesn't have all day to throw, he's like a deer in headlights. He's got to have time back there so he can be surgical. But again, congratulations to y'all. That's a hell of a win, man. You want to talk about a hell of a comeback? Just watching that shit in slow motion, just the comeback. Like, okay, they went right down the field, scored. It's 26-14. They got to stop. They got the ball back. They went right back down the field and scored again. And you're like, uh-oh. They've awoken the Eagles. This shit could turn ugly for them. And to see then the block kick when they were up 26-21 and they had a chance to push it to 8 and you blocked the first one and then you scored a touchdown. You guys had 3rd and 10 so many times and AJ just came to life. It was crazy. It was crazy to watch. Video channel. Thank you for being a member for 26 months. And let me just say one more thing to your comment. The Packers are frauds. They're not frauds, but the Browns are really good defensively. I got to go watch that game to see what happened. They were up 10-0 with 3 minutes left in that game and somehow gave up 13 points in the final 3 and some change and lost that game. I saw the block kick that, led to the Browns having a chance to win the game 13-10, but I got to see how we got to that point. But whatever the case may be, the Packers are not frauds. But you know how the NFL goes. It's any given Sunday. Anything can happen. And they got the Browns are a really good defense. And if you get into a defensive struggle with a team that is exceptional on defense, it could happen. Video channel writes, Lou, Russ is absolutely terrible now. How is this man allowed to step in an NFL stadium? Should be investigated. I expect to see Jameis soon. Don't expect to see Jameis soon. They're not going to blame this on Russ. Russ is doing exactly what he was brought there to do, be a placeholder. You want to start turning the ball over? Put Jameis in. Yeah, he'll throw the shit all around the yard, but he's also going to share. Like, at least with Russ, if your defense is playing good football, you're at least going to have a shot defensively. You put Jameis in there, and you're not going to be able to be in games based off of the fact that he's going to share and he's going to put your defense in some compromising spots. They know that. Jameis isn't getting out there. It's either going to be Russ or it's going to be Jackson Dart. There's no reason for Jameis to see the field unless something happens to Russ and they're not ready for Jackson Dart to see the field yet. So it is what it is. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Right. Lou, 40 burger without 5? Yeah, we capable. We did it last year. Remember? Carolina, how soon you forget? 40 burger against the Panthers. Basically without 5. 5 played the first possession. We scored a field goal, and the rest of the damage was done by Marcus Mariota. So this is not new territory for us. We've been here before. They don't really know. They do know. They just don't want to know. And that's okay too. Big Money Sonny. Been a member for 48 months. Celebrate! 4-year Annie, man. Really, truly do appreciate you. Writes 48 months. I feel like it's been much longer, Lou. It can happen. You know, a lot of people are like, man, feels like it's been 6-7 years. That's how long some of these seasons feel. Like you go through this roller coaster of 6 months and it feels like 2 years sometimes. Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? Cliff and Mariota, great audition from Miami today. I don't know what the Dolphins are going to do. I don't know if y'all heard the report that Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, is going to be patient with Mike McDaniel. I told you I like Mike McDaniel. And it's crazy that it's deteriorated for him so quickly because this man made the playoffs. First of all, the Dolphins hadn't made the playoffs since like 2015 when he got there. And then he gets there and the first year they make the playoffs. They make the playoffs the next year. And they just couldn't get out of the first round, but at least they were making the playoffs. And it's unfortunate how, like I said, how fast things have deteriorated for him there. But Stephen Ross is like, he's going to be patient with him. He likes him. And I like him too. I don't know the morale in the locker room. I don't know if he's a great coach or not. I can't speak to that. I just know he's smart. He gets it. And, you know, it sucks that his quarterback is Tua Tagovailoa, but that's, again, he won with Tua before. They were the most exciting offense just 2 seasons ago. So, you know, it is what it is. Cliff and Marcus, they're ours until they're not. So I'm just going to enjoy these guys being here, especially Marcus. Like at this point in his career, I don't see him being a starter anywhere else. He might as well just be here permanently until he doesn't want to do this anymore. Like he's an essential, it feels like. You're not going to find a better backup for our system here in Washington than Marcus Mariota behind Jaden Daniels. So let's just keep Marcus here. That's how I feel. But we'll see what happens. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. All right, Lou, I got a year-long bet with a homie from Atlanta. Washington wins, they lose. It's $10 every Sunday. I'm collecting rent for the rest of the year. What's next week looking like? Oh, well, I'm assuming that your homie is a Atlanta Falcons fan, correct? Yeah, it was rough today. Today was not a great representation of who they are, but I saw a very chilling stat today that can't make any Atlanta Falcons fan, happy. But they got run out of the building first and foremost today. I told you the kicker, John Parker Romo, the serial kicker, missed his first 2 kicks early in the game, and it kind of set the tone for how things were going to go. But Michael Penix Jr. played his worst game as a pro against Carolina today. I mean, he's making, really bad mistakes and decisions. He was missing throws. He was erratic. They just couldn't get it going. And he was, a huge part of why. They lose 30-0. They bench him in favor of Kirk Cousins late in the game. It's not, an indictment on what they're going to do moving forward. It's just one of those, hey, you're struggling today. We'll get them next time. Let Kirk finish this thing up type of deal. But I can tell you that Michael Penix is 0-4 in games in which the Falcons' opponent scores more than 7 points. Wait, what? Yeah, that's what I said. Michael Penix Jr. is now 0-4 in games in which the Atlanta Falcons' opponent scores more than 7 points. So essentially, if the opponent doesn't score 6 or 3 or nothing or 7, he doesn't win as a starter. So I think he's got 2 career wins. One against the Giants. I think the Giants scored 6 points in that game, maybe 7. And that was last year. And he beat the Vikings last week. They scored 6. So, it's not a great stat. Basically, you just got to score more than a touchdown, and you should beat Michael Penix Jr. That's basically what that stat suggests. If your homie is a Falcons fan, I would say there are going to be quite a few weeks where we win and they don't. But it's not going to be like a ton of them. Like the Falcons are going to win 8 games this year, more likely than not, something like that. But could we win 11 or 12? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But again, we'll see. That's a pretty cool bet, though. We'll see how it turns out. You collected some money today, that's for sure. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny, writes, oh, yeah, when does Cincy trade for Winston? So I was talking to a Giants fan. He was like, nah, it's not Winston that they're looking to trade. Matter of fact, it was Bad Dog. He's like, it's not Winston. It'd be Russell Wilson if they were going to trade one of them. Jameis is under contract for 2 years. Russ is only under contract for 1. So Jameis is the guy that's going to be the long-term backup in, New York if, when Russ is no longer there. Like they got a plan for Jameis. Russ is the guy that was supposed to be the bridge. So he would be the one that's expendable, and he'd be the one that they look to move if they were going to move someone. So, which makes sense. Jameis is already your 3rd string emergency quarterback, so you wouldn't have to do anything with him from a roster, depth chart standpoint. Russ is the one that's in the way, and like Russ, he knows what this is in New York. He came there to get an opportunity to start and win, but clearly that's not what's happening. And he understands they drafted a 1st-round kid. He's going to get an opportunity to play eventually if the team's not winning. So instead of Russ just being there, having to be a supportive teammate and having to answer questions about that, just trade him, right? So, we'll see if there's a team out there that needs a quarterback that is interested in Russell Wilson. I would assume that there will be at least 1 or 2 teams that are interested come trade deadline. And the Giants should be interested in moving him. We'll see if anybody's interested in Russ. That's going to be the question. Is any team actually truly interested in Russ at this point of his career? King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, King of the North, writes, Khan said on his podcast, Harris broke his leg, done for the season. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't hear that on Khan's podcast, but somebody told me what the injury was. I said, oh, he's done for the year. Like it's a broken fibula or something like that. Yeah, he's done for the year. And then I think it was my guy JP, John Perez, who added me on X and said it might be time to call up your boy from Denver, Justin Simmons. And I'm like, that ain't a bad idea at this point. I said you put in a phone call, you bring him in for a workout on Tuesday, and if you like what you see, you sign him up. Like Percy's banged up, he got a hit, he didn't come back today. Harris is done for the season. Like I say you don't play around with it. You go get Justin Simmons, you bring him in here on a 1-year deal, and you keep it pushing, right? Like let's not bullshit around and wait for him to sign somewhere else. We need safety help. Go get Justin Simmons and let's go play ball. So JP had been, talking about Justin Simmons for a very long time. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I kept just swatting him away. Now, now it's time. Go get him. I'm with it. He says injuries really putting a damper on the season. I wouldn't say it's putting a damper on the season. It definitely is stretching us thin. Like we talked about this team having more depth. It's being tested very early in the season. That's for damn sure, right? Next man up. That's the name of the game, right? Next guy's got to step up. Also, Coleman was a healthy scratch because they wanted to give Paul the start. Dallas and New York looked bad. Yeah, I heard that they DQ. I haven't watched it yet. As soon as I get off of this stream, I'm going to fire up the post-game pressers of DQ and Marcus and all of that good stuff. But I heard that DQ cited competition as the reason why Brandon Coleman was a healthy scratch. And Chris Paul, I'm you're starting to see the shit circulate on 26 pass pro snaps, no pressures, no penalties. He was clean all day. We know he's physical in the run game. His biggest issue is can he protect? Can he move his feet laterally in the pass game? If he can do that, Chris Paul could honestly be a solid guard. Where we're going to miss Brandon Coleman is when we run those pull-in actions, he can't get out there like Brandon Coleman can. Coleman is one of those guys that's very light on his feet and get to the second level, etc. But he wasn't good against the Packers. Brandon Coleman wasn't. He wasn't good against the Packers. I ain't going to front. But I didn't think it would be enough to get him benched and for him to be inactive. That was surprising to me. Yeah, Dallas and the Giants look bad. But what did you expect when you traded your best player in Michael Parsons? Dallas Cowboys fans are so delusional. They love to point the finger at everybody else, call everybody else delusional. There is not another more delusional fan base. They let Jerry pull the wool over their eyes yet again. This man looked them in their eyes and told them that they needed to stop the run, and that was the best thing to do was to trade the best player on their team and one of the best players in the league in Michael Parsons. So you could get Kenny Clark to still get run on, to get no pressure on the quarterback. So you can hide a stinking ass secondary. Unbelievable. I love it. I love it. Never change. Never change. Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and all Joneses that are associated with the Jones, never change. Continue to run business as usual. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny, writes, Lou, loan me $5. Real talk though. You loan me some money. You Big Money Sonny. You got all the money, not me. Real talk though. What's the over-under when Brian Daboll gets fired? I think he lasts the entire season. They could have had 5. Yeah, I agree. I don't think they fire. Like the Giants don't strike me as an organization that fires their coach in season. I'm not saying that they won't, but that doesn't strike me as something that they would do. I think they let him get through the entire season. They fire him immediately after the season, and they go from there. So unless this thing turns into an absolute mutiny, which I don't see Daboll allowing it to happen, I think he gets through the entire season, and then after the season's done, they move on from him. So I agree with you. I agree with you. They couldn't have had 5. Had they, not beaten us, they could have had 5, but they wanted the bragging rights. They wanted to beat us. So have at it. Like we were playing chess, they were playing checkers. They didn't understand what we were over here trying to do. King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. King of the North. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, coaches that deserve being fired but come back for that lame duck year always spell disaster. New York looks like we did in Gruden's last year. Rookie quarterback and all, shaking my head. It never works out, King of the North. Exactly my point. You, like, when I saw when the Bears did it last year with Eberflus, I saw it when they did it with Justin Fields in the last year with Matt Nagy. We did it with, like you said, with Gruden in 2019 when Dwayne was drafted. Like, it doesn't make any sense because that coach is fighting for his life. He's not in a position to play a rookie quarterback. So drafting a rookie doesn't make sense. Even if they really like that kid, Drafting that guy doesn't make sense for a coach that's trying to save his job. It just never works out. The team is going to struggle because the fans are already checked out. Once you lose 3 or 4 games to start the season off, like we did that year in 2019 with Gruden, fans are like, hey, when you going to put the young boy in? And remember what Gruden did. He threw Dwayne out there against the Giants early in the season just to prove a point, like he's not ready. Yeah, it's just an unfortunate situation for the Giants. But they made this, again, they made their own bed. Now they have to lie in it. Like, no one feels sorry for them. They got to figure out how to, this is a delicate balance that you have to find when you're talking about a young quarterback you draft in the first round with a lame duck coach, maybe even a lame duck GM, and how, you got to figure out what that balance is. It's a delicate one. You got to find it, but they got to find that balance. And I think the balance is you keep the GM, you move on from the coach, you clean the staff out, you bring in new guys, but you keep the guy that believed in Jackson Dart trading back up into the first round. And at least that support system is still in the building, because you have to ensure that the next guy that is hired believes in Jackson Dart too. You gotta make sure that the next guy believes in Jackson Dart as well. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, how come people don't check in and hit that like automatically? Come on, y'all. It's easy and free. Plus, we all love Lou. Exactly. Like, look, I'll be honest with you. I'll go watch a show sometimes and I'll find I'm so much better at it. I'm more cognizant of it now because I know what it's like to not have someone hit the like button. But I'll go in, I'll be watching the DQ press conference, and I'll be 7 minutes into a 17-minute presser and be like, damn, I ain't hit the like button yet. And then I'll go hit it instead of me just hitting it as soon as I turn it on. You got to train yourself in that way. You forget it very easily, right? To hit the like button. And I've been schooled on this by some people like, yo, I'm not in a position to hit the like button. Like, I got you on, but like I'm in the gym, or, like, I'm not in a position where I can see my device or whatever, and I can hit the like button, and I'm not thinking about it, right? So I get that too. I understand that. Some people might be doing this or doing that, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to hit the like button. So I get that as well. But if you can, please, by all means, hit the like button. Really, truly do appreciate all of you. Thank you for the PSA, Big Money Sonny. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, JP. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, I think it's time for Jackson Dart. Russ looks cooked and Neighbors has had enough. Daboll, Bowen, and Shane are all dead men walking. I don't know about Shane. Bowen and Daboll are cooked for sure. Jackson Dart is going to get his chance at some point this season. To the point of Chris Collinsworth, like, when is a good time to, like, we talked about this. The Giants' schedule was the toughest of anybody's in the division. It was the toughest. And not just because they had to play Philly twice and Washington twice. Both teams 12, or more wins last season. Also have to play Dallas twice, who usually destroys them. They almost beat them, but yeah, that's what made their schedule tougher than ours. But it was the sequencing of the games. Like, goddamn, you start with 2 games on the road in the division. Then you come home and your 2 home games are against 2 AFC West opponents and the best that they have to offer in that division, in the Chiefs and the Chargers. Then after that, I think you get the Saints, if I'm not mistaken. But then you get the Eagles, Broncos, and Eagles. Like, you're dead, bro. Pow. You're dead. You got me. Like, then it's the 49ers somewhere after that. Like, when is it a good like, all of these are good defensive football teams. When is it a good time to throw Jackson Dart to the Wolves? Broncos will devour his ass. Eagles will eat him up. 49ers, say what you want. They struggle to score, but they play up some mean defense. They play some mean defense. like Chris Collinsworth said, okay, cool, put him in against the Saints. He should torch their ass, get some confidence. Then guess what? You get the Eagles the next week. Then you get the Broncos. Then you get the Eagles again. Then you get the 49ers. When is it a good time? You got to wait until the coast is clear. So eventually, it is what it is. You just got to throw them out there. But if you can wait, you wait as long as you can. And so they're going to do that. That's what I think. That's what I think. Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Metaphor writes, Sunday Night Football brought to you by Sleeper in New York versus Kansas City. A sleeper. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. I literally took a little quick cat nap in the first half. My wife looked back at me and she was like, then I had to wake up like, okay, I'm up. I'm good. She was looking like, what are you doing? Get up. You're not supposed to. That's the first time I fell asleep on a game all season long. It was rough. That first half was rough. I ain't gonna hold you. Lorenzo Simpson, my guy Zoe, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Zoe writes, tonight's game confirmed it. Dallas defense is really bad. You didn't need tonight's game to confirm that. You knew already Dallas's defense was trash. You knew that last week. You saw what we did to the Giants in week 1. And for them to then go and do what they did in week 2, told you all you needed to know, right? And I knew because of that Chicago was going to have their way with Dallas today. And they did. Like, Dallas is their ass. And then Diggs got hurt again today. CeeDee Lamb got banged up today. Dallas is they're in pretty rough shape. That's for sure. But hey, this is what Jerry wanted, right? This is what Jerry Wayne wanted. So they gotta lay in this bed that they've made. I love it. I love it though. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Big Money Sonny writes, I love our team, Lou. So do I. I absolutely love the locker room and what they're building. And, I love Javon Kinlaw after the game saying, how can you not want to play for him like that when he's dull? Hit the ground like that, pop up? Shit. How can you not want to play for him like that? I love these dudes, man. I love these dudes, man. It's a fun team. Last year was a fun team. This year is going to be a fun team. We just got to stay healthy, man. Golly. DCJ, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. DCJ writes, what's good, Lou? What's going on, DCJ? Says lots of major injuries for this week. Atlanta got embarrassed today. Skins really got to lock in. I expect better effort from them. Of course, they can't play any worse than they did today. They're going to want to bounce back. It's not that dissimilar from what happened to us last week. You knew you were going to get a locked-in, motivated team coming off of an ass whooping, and ours wasn't as severe as theirs. They got embarrassed today by the Carolina Panthers. We were on national television. We lost by 9 points. It didn't feel like a 9-point game, but that's what it ultimately was. They got blown out and shut out 30-0. They're going to come back and respond next week. They're going to play a lot better, right? He says, I'm okay if Marcus goes another week. Quinn revenge game, #HTTR. I forgot all about the Quinn aspect of it. I was just thinking about it from a Marcus Mariota aspect. But yeah, it's all of that wrapped up in it. Quinn's been back to Atlanta since he's been fired, but not as a head coach. Now, he's beaten them last year to make the playoffs. So all of that whole, Quinn revenge is out the window. But Mariota hasn't played against them. He was on the team last year when we beat them, but he didn't play. If he plays, then it turns into a full-blown Marcus Mariota revenge game. So, we'll see. But to your point, don't expect Atlanta to be as bad as they were this week, next week. So we'll have to, bring our hard hat and our lunch pail, and we have to go to work like we did this week. But like I said, this past week against Vegas, we're better than Atlanta. So if you are who you say you are, you got to prove it. And they're struggling right now at the quarterback position. Whether it's Kirk or it's Michael Penix Jr., they're struggling. So let's continue that. And the biggest thing that they got to be able to do is run the football with Bijan. I think that's something that we can do is stop the run. Now, the only thing I hate is they run a lot of outside zone with Bijan. That's not our strength. We stop shit that's up the middle. But it'll be a good test with the outside zone with Bijan. If we can shut that down and slow him down, then we should be ready for Saquon and anything else that teams that want to get to. Like the Chicago Bears want to get to the outside with DeAndre Swift. We should be able to shut them down if we can shut down Bijan. This will be a good test for us, right? Big Money Sonny. And I, too, am okay with Marcus starting another week if he needs to. I too, am okay with that. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Who writes, Terry scored today in my book. He did. They jerked my guy. You know, F it, Lou. Let me get the whole I got 5 on it. All the bars. Celebrate. All right, let's do it, man. I got 5 on it. Got a quarterback we can keep. I got 5 on it. There goes Terry running deep. I got 5 on it. He stay avoiding all those sacks. I got 5 on it. Don't you wish he was your quarterback? But we had 8 on it today. Not 5. We had 8 on it today. But eventually, we will have 5 on it. But it's good to know whether it's 5 or it's 8, we're fully capable of busting somebody's shit to the white meat shows. That's a great feeling. So, as our guy Big Money Sonny said, celebrate. 2-1 on the season. Got it done today. And feeling good. The injuries aside, feeling really good about the product that we put on the field today. It's more like it. As for the Giants, not so much. Now 0-3 on the season after a 22-9 loss at the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs get on the board in the left-hand column with the win. Snap the 2-game skid. 3 games if you count last year going back to the Super Bowl. Stop the 3-game skid and get on the board. And now they can try to see if they can build a little bit of momentum, get back to 500. Next week's a big one, right? They got the Ravens next week. That's a huge game if you are the Chiefs, because eventually, if you're looking to get back into the AFC picture, right, the big picture, it's going to be the Ravens. It's going to be the Bills, right? Probably going to be the Chargers. These are the teams you're going to have to contend and compete with. Here's a big early season contest to maybe decide some home field advantage, etc. when we get late into the season. So it's a big one for Kansas City. We know, just like we saw with Philadelphia last year, who started the season 1-2, if I'm not mistaken, or where they might have been 2-2, and then they got hot, right? Like Kansas City could easily win 10 in a row. None of us would blink if it happened. I'm not trying to co-sign that, and I'm not signing up for it because my Commanders are in there somewhere, right? So I'm not signing up for that shit. They got a tough schedule. They got the Lions. They got the Commanders. They got the Bills. They got the Ravens. They got the Chargers again. They got the Broncos. Like, they're going to trip up somewhere in there, you feel like. But they could easily get hot, and eventually they're going to start getting some of their stuff back. So, we'll see what happens. But you just needed to get a win. Didn't matter what it looked like. Tonight wasn't aesthetically pleasing. We talked about how boring tonight's game was. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Just win. And that's what they did, 22-9. So got that one out of the way, got a win under their belt, and I will see if they can, parlay that 1 win into 2 next week and then really start to kick it into high gear. Alien, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Alien writes, provided the Chargers make the playoffs this season, and I don't see how they don't, again, assuming health. If 10 is upright, they're going to make the playoffs this year. What will Herbert need to do to silence his critics? Win 1 game, make the AFC chip, make the Super Bowl. Not saying all that will happen, just wondering. Let's just start with winning a game. Let's just start with winning a playoff game, right? Who knows? Winning 1 playoff game could end up putting you in the AFC Championship. You get the number 1 seed, and that's exactly what 1 playoff win will do, right? Who knows? They've started off the season 3-0. They've already got a win over the Chiefs under their belt. They've beaten every team in their division. They hold a sizable advantage over the entire division. They're 3-0. Everybody else in the division is 1-2. And they're responsible for one of the 2 losses for every team in their division. So they're sitting pretty right now. They're sitting really pretty right now. And, you know, they're going to have to work out some of the kinks too, because today was not a clean victory by any stretch of the imagination. They should have dominated the Broncos. They turned it over a bunch. They made a bunch of mistakes, and they still won the game. And that's the most important thing. They probably lost Najee Harris for the season to an Achilles injury today. So we're going to see, you know, what all of that looks like. But ultimately, if you're Justin Herbert, one, get to the playoffs. That's the first thing you got to do. Get back to the playoffs. 2, you do have to win a playoff game. Okay? You have to win you can't go down that Lamar Jackson path, because the one thing that saves Lamar, even though, you know, that narrative is starting to shift a bit, the one thing that saves Lamar is he's got 2 MVPs under his belt. There's no questioning where he is in the NFL pantheon of quarterbacks, because he's been a 2-time, should have been 3, because he should have won it again last year, MVP. Justin Herbert has no such hardware. You know, only the real ones know what Herbert has been and meant to the Chargers and how good he is, right? There's a lot of people that try to throw dirt on his name because he hasn't won, but it's also, you know, how many times he's lost games where he's led his team to over 30 points. But this is what matters, right? What are you doing when it's crunch time, when it's the postseason? What do you do? That's where legacies are forged. You build up your brand in the regular season, you forge your legacy in the postseason. He's got to win. And look, winning one game will do him some justice. It'll get that monkey off his back. But yeah, it's about time we start talking about him in the AFC Championship game. You want to be mentioned with Josh Allen and Mahomes and Jackson and the upper echelon of those guys. Burrow's been to a Super Bowl already. You know, Burrow's gotten to the AFC Championship game twice in his career. You want to start being mentioned in that vein, you got to start making it to the AFC Championship game. But one thing at a time. Win the playoff game first. Do that first. You're hoping that coincides, winning the playoff game coincides with getting to the AFC Championship game. You do that, and he's on his way to establishing who he is and where he belongs in the AFC. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, meant to ask you, Lou, what the hell they got going on in Indy? I didn't see that coming. Shane Steichen is amazing. I've said this going all the way back to when he was the coordinator in Philadelphia. I was like, his departure was going to hurt them, because he was the one that really put Hurts on the map. He is so innovative. He's so creative. And Daniel Jones, I've said this before, Daniel Jones is talented. Nobody ever questioned his talent. It's always been up here. But what Shane Steichen does a tremendous job of is he limits all of this shit up here. You don't got to do a lot in his offense. You just got to be you and execute the play, because he's going to set you up to succeed. They got talent in Indy. And Shane Steichen's a talented play caller. And you're seeing it. They're running the ball with JT. They got tight ends. I can't believe the Bears took, and not that Colson Loveland is going to be ass, but I can't believe they took him over Tyler Warren. If you're going to take a tight end, how did you not take Tyler Warren? Well, the Colts said, thank you. Tyler Warren's a beast. They got receivers for days, and he's insulated, right? They got a tremendous offensive line in front of him. He's insulated. All he's got to do is just play mistake-free football. That's it. The defense is solid, but they got so many weapons around him, and Shane Steichen is going to put him in a position to succeed, and that's what's happening right now. And he's all of a sudden, he's Indiana Jones. He's Indiana Jones. DCJ, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? Another note. JD5 has played well in ATL going back to college. Skins getting in stride, taking care of these festival plates. Time to lock in for the big horses after this week. Tough stretch is ahead. I said we needed to come out of the first 4 games 3-1, no less than 3-1. The only one that you were allowed to lose was Green Bay on the road. They've so far taken care of business against the teams they were supposed to beat. You're going to get one more of these games in Atlanta. And again, not that Atlanta's a chump, but you're better than Atlanta. Clearly better than Atlanta. We should be favored in that game to beat the Falcons next week on the road. We're better than them. Whether it's Marcus Mariota or it's Jaden Daniels, we should be favored in that game to beat the Falcons because we're better than them. After that, like you said, shit gets real. It's Chargers, the Bears, and the Lions, and the Chiefs, and the Cowboys. Like, even though the Cowboys are ass, we struggle with them. It's family business. You know how this shit goes, right? So, you know, it gets real fast. You know? We don't get another one of these games where you feel like, hey, we should be able to destroy till we go to London, till we go over to Madrid to play the Dolphins. Who knows where they'll be at that point in the season? If they'll be waving the white flag by then or what. But that's the next time you get one of these where you get to exhale a little bit. That ain't till November. So, yeah, got to take care of this game against Atlanta. Remember, after this game against Atlanta, we don't play at 1 o'clock. We don't play at 1 o'clock. After this game against Atlanta, we don't play at 1 o'clock until, like, December. Okay? So, yeah, shit gets real. Shit gets real. So, definitely need to take care of business. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, show us how a 40 burger tastes like, Lou. Salutes. You saw the video earlier, man. Yeah, why you got it? You want me to eat another 40 burger? Okay. He twisted my arm. You ain't got to ask for one time, man. It's more if you want some. I mean, I threw a bunch of them on the grill today, bro. It's a lot more where that came from. If you want one, man, by all means, help yourself, please. All right. There's plenty of them, right? Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, video channel writes, Lou, you see that Eric Glenn dance? Yes. Yeah, I saw that shit. I saw it in real time. I saw it live when he did it. I was like, what are you doing, man? You can't do that. You haven't won the game yet. Once he did that, I said, they're going to lose the game. You can't do that dance and expect to win. Not with Baker Mayfield on the other sideline. What I tell y'all last week when he beat the Texans, I said, there are very few quarterbacks I would take ahead of Baker Mayfield in a gotta-have-it situation. What I tell y'all? 3 weeks, 3 come-from-behind victories, 3 last-second victories for Baker Mayfield to start the season off. There's not many guys in the league that are more poised and in those gotta-have-it situations than Baker Mayfield. And Aaron Glenn was out. He was flagrant and out of pocket for that dance, bro. And he had to pay. I loved it, but you can't do that if you haven't won the game. Like, if it was like how the Eagles joint was, walk-off style, then yeah, do the dance. But do your shit, bro. Do your shit. Not with a whole about minute left. Like, Bake wasn't about to go get this game-winning field goal. He was out of pocket. He had to pay. He had to pay. DCJ, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. DCJ writes, maybe it's just me, but I love the physical play being shown each game. Win or lose, Skins gonna smack. Shh. No more being pushed around headhunters. It's not just you. Like, I remember I talked about this for years. We never had an identity, right? What was our identity? What could you expect from this team every week? We didn't have an identity until DQ and AP and company showed up. And last year, our identity was rooted in our quarterback. He's going to give us a chance every week. It doesn't matter what the score is, whether we up, whether we down, doesn't matter. If 5 has it, we got a shot. That's what you can count on. This team's going to play hard, and 5 is going to give us a shot. That's where our identity was and lied last year. It was rooted in 5. This year, our identity is rooted in the trenches. They made all of these changes up front on the offensive and defensive lines. And through the first 2 games, or 3 games now, we've rushed for over 200 yards in 2 out of the 3 contests, which speaks to the offensive line. And this is with the offensive line being in flux, with them moving parts around and shuffling the deck, right? You had 2 new starters in there today at both guard positions. And on the defensive line, I said this. I asked all the Commanders, Kings. I told you guys this. We're going to find out very early in this season if we can stop the run or not. Through 3 games, mission accomplished. I asked everybody, I said, what's the one takeaway from week 1? And I said, we're going to be able to stop the run every week. I can't tell you if we're going to get pressure on the quarterback every week because we don't have an elite pass rusher who can just go out and win. We got to use twists and stunts in games and shit like that. We don't just have a guy that can just go out. Like Dorrance is the closest thing that we have to somebody that can just flat out win on a rush. We don't really have a lot of that, though. But what we going to do every week is we're going to stop the run. And you're seeing that. We're going to stop the run. And I love it. I love it. So it ain't just you. DCJ, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, DCJ writes, I appreciate the 40, but defense easily could be a 50 today. It could have been. If Marcus doesn't turn it over on that second possession and Jalen Lane catches that touchdown, that's your 50 piece right there. That's your 50 piece right there. Plus, Matt Gay missed the field goal. Like, no, there was opportunity for us to score 50 today, for sure. That's what you got to love. Like last year, there were games where we scored 40 and we could have scored 50. We said that against Carolina. We said that against Tennessee. Like, easily could have been 50. You know, if we didn't do this or we didn't do that. Remember, I think I want to say, I don't know if it was Zane Gonzalez then or who was our kicker at that point of the season. But we missed some kicks in that game against Tennessee. We could have either had 50 or been damn near close to 50 in that game against the Titans. So, yeah, we could have 50 today. But look, it's 40. It's a 40 burger, right? Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Anyhow, that's the last super chat. That's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Want to give a quick shout out once again to Sleeper for sponsoring this stream. Once again, check in the description of this video. You will see a link. Click that link, and it will take you to where you can download the Sleeper app. Check to make sure Sleeper is available in your state. It's available in over 25 states in the United States of America. And if it's one of your states that it is available in, use the promo code LTN to get you a 100% match on up to $100 deposit. That's right, a dollar for dollar deposit when you use the promo code LTN. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring this stream. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, you need to put that entire I Got 5 on It track on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, etc. for us to download, Lou. Not everybody loves that song as much as you do, man. Trust me. DCJ, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, since it hit my top, yo, Lou, what's good with that podcast? Am I bugging? I haven't seen the work. I know you everywhere now, just asking. So I've been revising the podcast, trying to work out some kinks with it. I was supposed to be trying to relaunch it tomorrow, but I still haven't done everything that I needed to do. So I don't know if I'll be able to get it off the ground tomorrow or if I have to wait till Wednesday or if I have to wait till next week again. But the podcast, that's a flagship program. That's not going away. So for anybody out there worried about the podcast, it's coming back. I've just been trying to recalibrate some things with the podcast, and eventually it'll be back. I just need to work out some kinks to make sure things run the way that I want them to. So whether that's tomorrow, which was the intent was to be back tomorrow, or Wednesday or next week, I'm not going to push it back any further than next week. If I can't get everything the way that I want it, I'll just go back to the normal way that the podcast was run. But I'm trying to go back to my roots with the podcast. So I want all the bells and whistles. And so I'm trying to work out all the kinks with that. So yeah. Podcast is still a part of the Louie T Network without question. So no worries there. But I appreciate you for asking. Anyhow, that is going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Sunday Night Football Overtime. Chiefs get the win 22-9, improve their record to 1-2 on the season, get their first win. Meanwhile, the Giants continue to sink to, lower and lower depths of despair, now dropping to 0-3 on the season. Struggled mightily on offense tonight. Defense gave them a fighting chance, but it was not enough as they only are able to mount 9 points on the scoreboard and continue to have conversations about when is it time for Jackson Dart, what does the future look like, etc. This is who they are. I said by mid-October, Giants fans were going to be either into the draft or talking about Jackson Dart. I think it's pretty safe to say that those conversations are happening now in September. So I gave them the benefit of the doubt. That's not where they are. They're already talking about draft and already talking about Jackson Dart and what they should do with Brian Daboll and Joe Shane and Shane Bowen. They're already trying to fire coaches. So they're ahead of schedule. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lou, I'm over here in Cali slinging. I got 5 on it. So that's part of the reason why you enjoy it so much, because that's obviously a West Coast track. So that makes a lot of sense as to why you love it so much. Yeah, they tired of it too. Oh, well, get used to it. Back to back to back to back. I love it. I be forgetting sometimes you out on the West Coast. So it hits a little different for you for sure, without question. Anyway, I digress. Hashtag SOTG. For those who know. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I will see you guys tomorrow. Celebrate! Commanders get the win. They're 2-1. Eagles win. They're 3-0. Giants and Cowboys both lose. Cowboys drop to 1-2 on the season. Giants drop to 0-3. On the Chiefs side of things, Chargers win. They're 3-0. Broncos lose. They're 1-2. So do the Raiders, who are 1-2, but the Chiefs win to improve to 1-2. So a lot of work for the Chiefs to do, but this is not foreign territory for them. They know how to dig themselves up out of a hole. They really haven't been in holes this deep or this early in the season, but they know how to dig themselves up out of a hole. So this may be the beginning of the Chiefs getting their act together, or this could just be a false sense of hope for them, because tonight wasn't great, but it was a win nonetheless. You guys have a good one. Take care. See you next time. Peace.